Good morning, everyone. I am Manmeet Kaur, Assistant Professor at DME Media School, welcoming you all to the sixth day of ICANN 3 International Conference on Issues of Community Agenda and News. This is the world's first 10-day digital live international media conference organized by DME Media School at Delhi Metropolitan Education in association with Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia. For those who are joining us for the first time, I must tell you about DME. Delhi Metropolitan Education is one of the premier education institute affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University and approved by Bar Council of India. The college is committed to providing strong academic facilities to its students and of course with the backing of the state-of-the-art infrastructure. DME provides undergraduate courses in broadly three streams: media, management, and law. DME Media School is the branch dealing with BA in journalism and mass communication. The department is headed by Dr. Susmita Bala and Dr. Amrish Saxena as our dean. We are amongst the top media institute of the country. Our focus here is to provide a holistic experience to our students, and therefore we try to engage them in several activities, both curricular and extracurricular. ICANN 3 is also the part of such initiatives. We have organized this international conference twice before in the year 2018. ICANN 1 was about India and changing aspects of news, whereas ICANN 2 was about Indian cinema and alternate networks. Both these conferences were hugely successful. DME Media School has also organized an international film festival, SIFI 2019, and Media Fest Kritika also in 2019. We hold monthly guest lectures by industry stalwarts for our students under the BG Varghese lecture series. I believe that the success of all these previous events laid the foundation of ICANN 3, this time with the theme Issues of Community, Agenda and News. This success would not have been possible without the support from our associate partner, Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia, our knowledge partners, KR Mangalam University, Gurugram, Haryana, Adamas University, West Bengal, Kolkata, Public Relations Society of India, Delhi chapter, and APJ Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi. Our media partner is The Policy Times. For ICANN 3, we have received 202 abstracts and published 141 papers in 6 books, 5 English books and 1 Hindi book. We have received an overwhelming response from America, Europe, Australia, and Asia, and participants from the world have shown keen interest for this academic deliberation. For ICANN 3, we have conducted 14 technical sessions, 2 special sessions, 3 panel discussions, 3 master classes, and 3 plenary sessions. I request Ritik sir, let's showcase the release of the books. On behalf of my entire department, I welcome all the distinguished panelists, Dr. Kiran Bala, Dr. Ravi Kedhar, Mr. Ratnadeep Banerjee, and Mr. Rao Narendra Yadav. We all have gathered here today for the third panel discussion on the theme Community Media Interventions to Voice Social and Health Issues. Let me formally introduce our guest of the day. Professor Dr. Kiran Bala, Dean, School of Journalism and Mass Communication, K.R. Mangalam University, Gurugram, is a professional with diverse knowledge. A doctorate in mass communication, gold medalist in both PG in mass communication and PG diploma in translation, postgraduate in English, PG diploma in marketing management, net qualified. She has many feathers in her cap. A qualified media personality, she is a keen researcher and a dedicated teacher with more than 17 years of teaching experience at both college and university levels. Along with academics, she has contributed 5 years in All India Radio and almost 2 years in Doordarshan as a casual comparer. She has also worked as sub-editor in National Hindi Daily, Dainik Bhaskar. She has been awarded with Exceptional Woman of Excellence by Women Economic Forum in April 2019. She has published more than 15 research papers in various national and international journals and presented more than 15 papers in national and international conferences. She has also been guiding many research scholars at doctoral level. We welcome you, ma'am, at DME Media School at Delhi Metropolitan Education. Dr. Ravi K. Dhar, a rank holder in Bachelor's Degree Program in Commerce of the University of Jammu. Sir is a postgraduate degree holder in English. He completed his doctoral degree in English at the Northeastern Hill University, Shillong, where he was also teaching as a lecturer in English. From here, he moved on to the Department of Journalism, Languages and Culture of Punjab Agricultural University, Ludhiana, where he eventually shifted base from language and literature to communication studies. He also pursued successfully postgraduate diploma in agricultural journalism from CCS Haryana Agricultural University, Hisar, and master's degree program in journalism from Himachal Pradesh University, Shimla. He also worked as a part of the international faculty at Ethiopian Civil Services College, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where he successfully launched the Department of English First ELT Quarterly. A keen researcher, he has published and presented papers in the areas of modern English novel, communication policy, online communication, human rights and development studies. He has traveled to Germany, Netherlands, Slovakia, Hungary, Austria, Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Ethiopia, and Sweden. Presently, he is the director of Jagannath International Management School, GIMS, Basantkunj, New Delhi. He has also been a member of the University Court of Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, Delhi. He has been the managing editor of Journal of Indian Management Strategy for around 7 years and also the founder editor of Mass Communicator International Journal of Communication Studies. He has come out with 4 edited books: Indian Management, Theory and Practice, Media in the Swirl, Perspectives on Thought Leadership in Corporate and Public Life, and The Rime of the Mystic Mariner. He has also authored a book on Evelyn Waugh and published a novel, Orphans of the Storm, and he has also a collection of poems in the form of the Chant of Vitatsva. His poems are also available on YouTube channel, The Mystic Mariner. His creative and critical works can be accessed on his website, www.ravikethar.in. We welcome you, sir. Ratnadeep Banerjee is a senior feature writer in newspaper, magazine, and news syndicate catering worldwide. He has produced radio features and has been a script writer for TV documentaries. As a media archivist, he has witnessed the passage of science communication in varied climes. Being a polymath, he blends a larger perspective to popularize science. We welcome you, sir. Rao Narendra Yadav is a seasoned media professional with more than 14 years of commendable experience in media and communication, ranging from print journalism and development communications to films, media training, and community media. He is also the founder director of Woodpecker International Film Festival and executive editor of India Africa Today. I welcome you all at the 3rd edition of ICANN 3, world's first digital live international media conference organized by DME Media School. Thank you so much. I request Professor Dr. Susmita Bala, Head DME Media School, to kindly address the gathering.
Hello, very good morning to all at this platform. Welcome to Professor Kiran Bala, Professor Ravi Kedhar, Mr. Ratandeep Banerjee, and Mr. Rao as eminent panelists of this session. This COVID-19 has proved how community intervention is important in the case of a crisis. Basically, this pandemic has also established that we need to take over health issues seriously. I hope that something tangible will come out from today's discussion. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. I request Professor Saxena, Dean DME Media School and Director Studios and Production at Delhi Metropolitan Education to please address with his welcome note.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Professor Dhar, to be with us this morning. Thank you, Professor Kiran Bala. Thank you, Mr. Ratnadeep Banerjee and Mr. Rao. This is a really, very welcome thing that in the morning we are discussing something which is very, very pertinent. The whole conference, this ICANN 3, is on the theme of issues of community agenda and news. So that is how when we were planning about different sessions, so we thought that there has to be a session which is exclusively devoted to the social and the health issues. Health issues, everybody understands, have always been important, but unfortunately, the people sitting in the government, they never realized that health is an important aspect of life. And that is how the minimum amount was always given in the GDP for the health infrastructure. But now this COVID-19 has taught us lessons, has taught lessons to the government that how this whole infrastructure collapsed because we did not have the adequate number of hospitals and the number of doctors which are required. That doctors people ratio is very bad in India. So I mean, in this conference, if we do this academic deliberation, and not only the academic side is important, but then if we are discussing this, that something concrete comes out either in terms of some recommendations, etc., as to what can be done as far as the improving the health infrastructure is concerned. Though I'm saying this, and I'm also of the opinion that the government is important, government is responsible for providing us the infrastructure, but nonetheless, the community's role is no less important. And during this pandemic also, we have seen the way the community got involved to provide meals to the people who were destitute, who were on the roads. In my vicinity also, where I live, I have found that this Shopkeepers Association, other NGOs, they came forward and tried to take care of the people who were helpless and who did not have anything to eat or who did not have any place to live in. So that is how this, so we have to deliberate on this, how the community can rise up to the occasion if there is any disaster. And at the same time, I repeat, as I said, the government is also duty bound to do all that which is necessary to provide a base to have a decent life in this country. So with this note, I finish because I'm eager to listen to the speakers in this session. And I hope that everybody will be enlightened by the deliberations and the outcome of this session. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I am very grateful for the auspicious presence of today's panelists. I request Kiran Bala ma'am to kindly proceed with the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Manmeet. The media is in charge of what you think. They are in charge of what you know and don't know. And any challenge to that, like alternative media or community media with direct access to the audience, it may seem threat. With these words by Rush Limbaugh, I welcome all our participants who are connected through Zoom and watching us on Facebook Live. In the previous decade, there has been a lot of enthusiasm amongst researchers from an assortment of controls in the subject of how nations and communities they recuperate from the sense of social change, political breakdown or brutality, and of how absolutely the media should help in this procedure. The job of the media in remaking a feeling of having a place and compromise possesses an exceptional spot in all inclusive course of social change studies. The media are seen as a crucial player in the formation of identities based on their role in providing space for community discussion and in helping sustain, suppress, and simply deal with the cultural memories, myths, and collective fears, hopes, and desire for the future. Besides mass media, as the area of public representation of ideas, interests, and free discussions, there are essential and basic conditions for the constitution of civil society. Specifically, local groups have frequently been seen as offering non-nationalistic or non-commercial spaces of having a place. Community media, it belongs to a different arrangement of activities like community radio, participatory video, pre-distribution of wall newspapers, and then not to miss online platforms. These are the some examples which are operating in social, political, and geocultural settings. Indeed, the context in which community media operate, it plays a decisive role in shaping and informing this separate effort. Participatory communication strategies and techniques are used to help and stimulate social, political, and economic development. Also, in social orders, where state-run media was typical, community media developed contrary to harsh systems and promulgation related to authentic media. Obviously, these intentions are not totally unrelated. For example, even in social orders, with democratic system, with the assurance of right to speak, right of free discourse and articulation, oppositional and radical media are very normal in such societies also. With this note on community media, I would turn to our esteemed panelists for further discussion on our session on community media interventions to voice social and health issues. So I welcome all our panelists. Dr. Dhar, I want to, because I have been observing since many years, you are running a very successful, very vibrant community radio, which is broadcasting programs on diverse issues. I think since 1.5 decades you are working. So how community radio is playing a role in creating awareness in social issues?
First of all, I would like to thank and compliment Professor Ambrish Saxena. Before I begin what I have to say on the issue, I would like to thank and compliment him for having thought up a very relevant subject for such a discussion, and also framing it within the overall framework which very few people in this country have thought up. Because the overall framework of the conference is community, agenda, and news. Fantastic. This triangle is really, it appealed to me the moment I looked at it. Community, nobody ever spoke of the community. People always spoke of media, and therein also mass media and agenda setting. That has been the run-of-the-mill narrative, the run-of-the-mill discourse in this country, and that is what we have been teaching our students most of the time. We never brought in community with it. So the agenda, that's, I'll tell you why it is significant. It is significant because the moment you talk of mass media and agenda setting, you go into a space which is the space of meta-narratives. And meta-narratives also go hand in hand with what we have been teaching our students as the dominant paradigm of communication, wherein you talk down. Now, talking down in a democracy is an anachronism, because democracies survive on the participation of the people, on the creation of communities, on the creation of discourse and narratives in the community. If narratives are not created in the community and they don't move up the pyramid and then influence policy making and decision making, then I think the purpose of democracy is lost. Then democracy becomes a means of grabbing power to create, set your own agenda and to achieve your own ends. And this is clear from what has happened in America and in India. When the first acid test came, you've seen how the health infrastructure in most of the countries, not just in India, even in Europe, USA, the paragon of democracy, which has paraded itself as the icon of democratic values, everything has collapsed. Why? Governments have bothered. I would say, I wouldn't like to use rude language. Governments have not bothered for the people to which they were responsible. And if you want to understand the working of a modern democracy, I would refer you to George Bernard Shaw's fantastic play, The Apple Cart, wherein he shows how modern democracies are working. Now, how do you subvert this subversive process? For that, you have to center stage community. We had a choice. When we became independent, we had two choices. One was the Gandhian way, the other was the Nehruvian way. Now, Nehru was a Fabian socialist. He was influenced by Soviet-style economic planning and social justice. But we must remember that Soviet Union was a communist country. It was not a democracy. Importing the Soviet model into a democratic setup was itself an anachronism. The Gandhian model was that of Gram Swaraj. That is bottoms up. That is, you move from the bottom of the pyramid and go up. So the sovereignty, you see, when we look at the preamble to the Constitution, the preamble to the Constitution says, we the people having resolved. But where are the people? The people's power has been hijacked by people who come to you at the end of 5 years, take away the mandate, and then forget you, isolate you, eclipse you. So that is why I said it's a fantastic subject. To center stage community, because when you center stage community, you come into what is called the mini narrative. And there are millions of mini narratives in this country. And as long as you will not give space for mini narratives, you cannot have a vibrant democracy. And who is best suited for translating, for creating these mini narratives? It is the community media. And unfortunately, in a country where we pride ourselves on our democratic values and of having been very democratic, have had very successful elections every time the power of the ballot over the bullet has been asserted in so many elections. In this country, the community media had to be wrested from the government. And it was only when the Supreme Court ruled in mid-1990s that airwaves are public property. See, all the media are being controlled. There are three players: the government, the private players, and the people. People represented by community. In America, they spoke volumes in praise of people. But then, in the name of the people, they handed over power to the private media, to the private corporations. Fortunately for us, our constitution is fantastic. Our constitution did not give power to corporate organizations or to organ media organizations. When it gave the right to the freedom of speech and expression, it gave this right, fundamental right, to the citizen, not to an organization, be it a corporatized organization, any form of organization it could be. It gave it to the citizen. That was the vision. But unfortunately, between the vision and its implementation, if I were to use a phrase from Eliot, falls a shadow. There's a shadow in between. And 1995, just imagine, we become independent in 1947, in 1951 we become a republic. From 1951 to 1995, there is no effort at creating discourse, public discourse, revitalizing, creating and revitalizing public discourse at the level of the community, which should be the sheet anchor of any democracy. Because ultimately, and why not? Because even though we have been singing paeans of democracy, we have always been skeptical and suspicious of the people, that if they are given power to speak, forget all these are all, what should I say, notions which have been created to say to the people that if people are given power to speak, then their hell will be let loose. If you think that people are not responsible, then why have democracy in the first place? Then become a monarchy, become an autocracy, become an oligarchy. If you trust the people, then trust the people. But it never happened. And 1995 to 2003, 8 years still it takes for the government of India to frame its first rules and regulations for a community media to come up. And even then, the power is not given to the community, it is given to educational institutions only. And there again, it is narrowcasting, not broadcasting. It takes again another some years, 2006 onwards, then 2006 onwards, the communities are allowed. And again, in the communities, it is only the NGO. Look at the way how we have been throttling, we have been asphyxiating discourse at the level of the community. And now compare it with the picture of India, the sociological, socio-economic mosaic that India is. With, you see, I remember I sometimes become very radical and rebellious when I speak these things. I remember having read Arjun Sen Gupta Committee's report, and it was a fantastic report saying that 70% of the people in India earn up to 20 rupees a day. Not much has changed. I do understand Arjun Sen Gupta Committee's report was way back. Much time has passed since then, but things have not changed. To this day, 80%, you look at your literacy statistics, you look at your all these statistics of social indicators of development, India performs poorly. And the statistical jugglery that happens in the name of showing, as in Three Idiots, it is said, all is well. To create that impression of all is well, literacy 67%. Is it really 67%? It is not. Community media is important in India because community media would debunk all these, because mass media has its compulsions. It runs on economic considerations. Yes, community media has a great role to change the social problem, to bring about a facelift in the social and economic condition of the people, because it is owned by the people. But when I look at the community media, the picture of community media is very sad and very pathetic. We do own a community radio, and the number of community radios that are there in this country, everyone knows what state they are in. There's not been much of a support from the government. In many of these community radios, the community is missing. Even people do not know what the community is. So when we look at these things and we talk of changes that community radio can make within this bleak scenario, yes, efforts, because it is these are mini narratives, these are mini efforts, these are efforts at the local level. Yes, there will be always some oasis in the desert, because it is not a meta narrative. It is not, we are not painting with one brush and giving some statistic which is national statistic, reducing the entire disaggregate variety to a homogeneous statistic. So that is not there. But yes, there are efforts. There are grave issues in this country of poverty, social exclusion, economic exclusion, illiteracy. We carried out a study here. We have been working here. So when we look at these statistics, 80%, people talk of bottom of the pyramid. I say there is no pyramid in this country. Pyramid is always like this, with the base. It is a picture with a very narrow neck. 80% of the people are in the belly of the picture. There is no narrow pyramid, it is a picture. And 4% or 7% of the people are in the neck. They are the people who are running the mass media, who are in the mass media, for whom the mass media is there, the government is there. So it is co-opting of the media. The only thing that can be done is by community media. But then community media needs support, and it needs to, and because the significance of community media is that it has ownership of the people, ownership of the community. Only when community can own up, because when you own something, the purpose is, again, news was kept out of its purview. Look at the way we are looking at everything. We're looking at things with a fractured view. Where are the democratic values? You don't trust the people, you don't trust your communities. Over to you, Kiran.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, communities are doing really so much of efforts, but then yes, governments for support is required. Without funding, without manpower, without resources, we can't run these radio stations. This is really a challenge, the organizations which are running for them. So next, I would like to ask Mr. Yadav, because Mr. Yadav, you have been associated with the tribal areas in Chhattisgarh. You have worked so much there. And I want to ask how community media, it has helped in transformation and empowerment of women and children, particularly to the areas where, voice of locals is unheard by mainstream media.
Thank you so much, Professor Kiran Bala and Professor Ambrish Saxena, for having me on this very important talk today. And Professor Dhar very powerfully and pertinently talked about the whole scenario and context of community media in the country. And to a large extent, I would agree with him, what he has said, and how the community media has evolved in the country. Coming specifically to, see, we have to understand these two words separately. what is the community and what is media. Which is this community we are talking about? What are the cultural aspects of this community? What are the socio-economic development parameters of this community? What are the issues they are grappling with in their everyday lives? So first we have to understand this whole context of what kind of community. Because India is an extremely diverse country, and the requirements of communities differ from one geographical location to another, one maybe a tribe to another tribe. So that determines what kind of media you need. And that's where the mismatch is. We all are fighting with COVID-19 from last 3-4 months. And suddenly, like every day we get messages on our WhatsApp and on various TV programs and all about COVID-19. If suddenly the government starts sending you messages in Spanish and Russian and any other language, no matter how important the messages are, we won't be able to comprehend anything from these messages. And that kind of disconnect has existed in this country for a very long time. The mass media has been communicating or talking about issues which either has no relevance for these communities or they have been completely bypassed and missed out. So that's where the community media plays an extremely important role. Professor Dhar has rightly pointed out that the zigzag way the community media tools have developed, community media infrastructure have developed, the reach is still very limited. But on the other hand, there have been a lot of experiments that have been happening in the field of communication, especially in reaching out to the communities. So if you allow, I can share a brief presentation of 5 minutes with you, where I'll talk about 2 experiments that have been done in Chhattisgarh, in tribal areas of Chhattisgarh. One is in Bastar, and second in North Chhattisgarh in Jashpur region. Both are tribal dominated, and how they have been able to integrate the community with media, and how even mass media have been integrated with community media initiatives. So I'll just talk about that. I would request the DME team to allow me to share the screen.
Yes, sir. Ritik, sir. Ritik, sir, are you there? Yeah.
Yes, can you, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yes, so that's a very brief presentation. I won't take much time, but I just want to introduce you to some of the experiments that have been happening in the country. And I think it will be very important for students and researchers to understand that. So media intervention in tribal communities of Chhattisgarh with special focus on children and women.
So can you take it on the screen mode?
On full screen.
If possible.
Is it fine now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So when we talk about Chhattisgarh, we have to understand the context in which we are talking about these communication initiatives. So in Chhattisgarh, a majority of population, 30% population is tribal, and there are 15 districts where more than 25% population is tribal. And you talk about North and South Chhattisgarh, they are entirely tribal, the Bastar region and Jashpur region. And in terms of the status of women and children, there are some indicators I would like to share with you. 47% women in the age group of 15 to 49 years are anemic in Chhattisgarh, and 42% children are anemic. I'm specifically talking about anemia because it's related to your different levels of growth also. So throughout the life cycle, it affects you. That's why anemia is very important. Only 22% women gets antenatal care. And since women and children have no access to reliable healthcare services or educational services, children are vulnerable to abuse and exploitation. Child labor, child marriages are quite rampant, and especially in Jashpur region is the hub of trafficking, child trafficking in the country. So a lot of children who are brought to Delhi or Mumbai or big cities are mainly from Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh border, especially the Jashpur region, which I'm talking about. And most of the time we have seen that the mainstream media is not talking about most of these issues. Now, why these areas are important. As I said in my previous slide, when we talk about children, the key issues there are malnutrition, stunting, trafficking, child labor, child marriage, high dropout rate in school. For women, anemia, early marriage, low rate of institutional delivery. In addition to that, there are several endemic problems in this region, like in Bastar. Bastar is a hotspot for malaria. So every year during this time, we get thousands of malaria cases in Bastar, and mostly it's the children who get affected by it. And most of the time, the local elected representatives from Jila Panchayat to the MLAs and MPs, they don't have any solution or any campaign or any project for these particular tribal areas. Now, the two case studies I was talking to you earlier, one is called Sangwaria Khabaria, and second is called Media Collective for Child Rights. Both of these have been formed, these initiatives have been taken in these regions in collaboration with UNICEF state office in Chhattisgarh. First, I will talk about Sangwaria Khabaria. Sangwaria Khabaria means friendly reporters. These are friendly reporters from your village. So what the Sangwaria Khabaria group did, they formed a collective of adolescent dropout boys and girls who are not going to school. They're either working in their fields or they're just spending time in their homes, in their villages. They identified those boys and girls and requested their parents to send them in this collective. And this is how this group of friendly reporters was formed. These adolescent boys and girls were trained in basic skills of reporting, writing, using a video camera, doing editing. And within a few weeks' time, they all were trained to work as freelance reporters. And because they were children, they decided to work on children-related issues. There are some of the photographs of the training program that were organized in the field when they were working. They were documenting their own stories in their own villages. And these kind of screenings were organized when they submitted their stories. And the most important part was the administration, the elected representatives from their villages, from the block level, from the district level, they were invited to talk about the issues and provide solution on the issues highlighted by children. So if you see, it's a completely community-driven, children-driven initiative where children talk about their own issues. These are some of the issues they talked about. No playground, hospitals are far away, parents don't send them school. So you can see how keenly children could identify the issues that hinder their growth every day in their own villages, in their own families, open defecation, child labor. So they came out with wonderful video reports on these issues. And they have a very successful YouTube channel. If you have time, you can go to Sangwaria Khabaria YouTube channel. And there are more than 50,000 subscribers on this channel. So that shows the success of this initiative. A second initiative I'll talk about, which is completely different from what Sangwaria Khabaria did. This is called Media Collective for Child Rights. Now, what we did here is that we approached the rural journalists. There are thousands of rural journalists in Chhattisgarh who are stationed at village and block level. They are freelancers. They don't work for any specific media group. They don't get a salary, but they are the most important people to give you news from the interior areas. And even the most prominent and biggest news channels and newspapers depend on them to get the news from the interior areas of Chhattisgarh. Now, what we did, we could see that there are several social problems in tribal areas, especially as I mentioned in my first few slides, especially problems like immunization, lack of immunization among children, malnutrition, school dropouts, people generally not going to accredited health services, people generally going to ojhas or their traditional healers in the communities. Pregnant women generally not going for institutional deliveries, but they're going for delivery within their villages, which is quite risky there. So we wanted to approach these problems. And what we did is, because in tribal areas, it's difficult to communicate. They have their own dialects. They have their own languages. And tribal culture is very, it's a very inbuilt, very powerfully built structure. And outsiders are generally not permitted to interact with you so casually or informally. So what we did, we identify a set of journalists from the entire state. We trained them and we made them key influencers and key coordinators to talk to these community leaders, like the tribal leaders in various tribes, traditional healers, other faith group leaders, and make them understand that how problems like malnutrition in your tribe or anemia in your village can be taken care of by integrating your services with government's campaigns and services. See, these tribal leaders and traditional healers have a lot of trust, community trust. They have a lot of prestige. You cannot bypass them. You cannot say that, you are a Oja, you are a traditional healer, what you are doing is wrong. We can't say that. So we wanted to integrate what government is doing, what UN agencies are doing, with what these people have been doing for centuries, so that they can play a more influential role within their community in changing their health-seeking behavior. So we talked about specifically on education, malnutrition, immunization, no child labor or child marriage in their tribes or in their villages, and promoting institutional delivery. Now, what happened after that? We did this for 2 years. We started in 2017, and we formed a group of more than 300 journalists who are there in villages, who know their language, who can talk to them, who can bring them on a Zoom conference with us. So that's the kind of change they have brought in there. Now journalists play a more participatory role there. That language barrier that was there has been broken to a large extent. Now, currently in Bastar, because this is the time when malaria, comes in a big way in Bastar. So the state government and UNICEF has just launched a Malaria Mukt Bastar campaign in Bastar area. And the entire communication is not in Hindi. It's in Halbi and Gondi. That's the language people understand there. So this kind of change in communication has come. The way we have been communicating, the tools that we have been using. Now, journalists, they themselves have become a tool, a media tool to communicate. Journalists have become a medium to reach out to communities. And that, to a great extent, has helped us in communicating and building trust with communities. There are some of the pictures of, when we are communicating with, women in the villages. The journalists are there. They are talking to them. There are a group of tribal healers who had come, and Chhattisgarh Chief Minister had a meeting with them. And in the first photo, there's a group of rural journalists. We are briefing them about this whole campaign. So that's the kind of work that has been done. And for me, these are two very interesting experiments when it comes to communication, and especially when it comes to integrating communication with communities. So I would like to see that in that perspective. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Kiran Bala.
Yes, it was really interesting to know all these things, that how we are focusing on communicable and non-communicable disease through community media, and the kind of innovative methods you have been using during your experiments, during your campaigns, and particularly connecting to the tribals, where language is also an issue itself, how to communicate with them. So coming to Mr. Banerjee, because he is basically keen towards creating content for such communities, and he is the person who has been integrating mainstream media and community media to accelerate the access to prevention, care, support, and treatment for different type of diseases and for different communities. So I would like to ask Mr. Banerjee, what all you have been planning, what all type of content you have been creating for communities.
Well, outright, I must say, I feel elated to be among you all this morning when Corona Holocaust has taken its horrendous toll over hominids, the wise species, becoming underdogs, what Professor Dhar was speaking about. And the DME Media School has been doughty enough to conduct this comprehensive seminar symposium stretched over several days. It's been a great initiative, and I must commend the Institute and its organizers. It's been a really great initiative during troubled times. But what Professor Dhar was pointing out, that boils down to what are the lessons learned from this pandemic? What have we learned? What is the takeaway message? Well, I'll come to that later. Well, media is nothing but voice of the people. So media stands at large to be the community media. Of course, there are different facets, different realms, different paradigms in which you can project it. So, when it comes to projecting the message of the people, the ethos of the people, the angst of the people need to be projected. The content creation is a very critical thing. Now, in India, we have plethora of media houses. That's good. That's good. And we don't have to stand in unison. We might dissent among each other. That's fine. That's all fine. Freedom of speech should prevail. And let there be a plethora of multitudinous voices. That's fine. Excellent. But certain tenet of journalism should be withheld. That would not denigrate, that would not denigrate the voice of the people, the aspiration of the people. What Professor Dhar and Mr. Rao was saying, the vernacular involvement, that's a great thing. Can I request the screen to be shared?
Yes, I request.
Yes, please go ahead.
I'd like to show you a presentation. Is the screen shared?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is shared. You need to share it from your end.
Yeah, it's already shared from my end.
But we can't see it here.
No, I'm not able to upload the files, in fact.
That you need to do on your computer first, and then go for the sharing.
You just click your file and then
All right,
go on that green button.
Once you open your file, then go in for the sharing.
All right.
Can I help you with anything?
I'm trying to go back to the Zoom, in fact.
You go down and you'll see an icon, the blue Zoom icon.
Yes.
And then you will see your window.
It doesn't pop up.
Well, just try and click it. Just hover on it and you'll see another small window popping up on top of it, the blue camera icon, Zoom icon in the taskbar.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to click,
yeah.
but it doesn't open up.
Okay, right click on it and then maximize. Right click on that icon.
Yes.
And then you will see an option. Can you see any option on it?
Start Zoom.
You're already logged in. You're already logged in. You will actually see two small windows popping up. In one, you will see start Zoom, and on the other, you will already see your Zoom
Yes,
meeting running.
yes, I think I'm back, right?
Yes. So just click on the Zoom meeting small window that you see.
Right, right. Uh, Sorry for the hitches and glitches I gave. Uh, right. Now, the content generator has to tap his viewers or readers or whatever be the people he is reaching out to. So, first comes the common mindset that he has to cater to. Some people feel, I'm talking in the context of health journalism. I'm confining myself to health journalism. And my intent is how to create awareness. That's what the prudent lines of journalism, health journalism would dictate. Some people would feel I'm healthy enough to fall sick. Some feel, can this disease happen to me? Any prevention? And some feel that if it happens, what to do? Then comes the discerning mindset, who have some set of specific questions. The discerning mindset feels, what's the prevailing scenario? What is the scientific explanation? What's the prognosis of the disease? The way the disease has been proceeding, the medical cause of the disease. What's the etiology of the disease? The cause, the reason of the disease, and the success stories, which gives a boost to his morale. He feels a bit confident to withstand. Now, let's try to adjudge the present situation and look into ourselves. Where do we stand? These are some of the raging issues in our community, I feel, like malnutrition, getting a mammogram done, handling an autistic child, evading cancer, combating repeated zoonotic attacks, stem cell therapy, which has been enticing many of the incurable patients, deciding what to eat when it comes to trans fat. How much do we know about these? Malnutrition has been something which has been deliberated for the last half a century, I believe, right since the days of independence, if not earlier. But do we really know what is malnutrition? And have we come out of it? Even the well-to-do society is not out of it. So we can adjudge, we can take stock of our own awareness level. Now, when it comes to willy-nilly people who are dilettante, not really keen to read articles or rather go through it, how to make them rivet to the article, how to make them glued to the article, the media articles, to the community media. Well, once I get to see the article speaks of prevailing scenario with startling facts that addresses a potent problem, which is an ongoing bottleneck in the society, they would be prompted to. Then comes prevention and detection. Every reader or listener or viewer wonders about the prevention and detection. He is keen to know about the harrowing experience of people, the suffering, the travails of suffering the people are having, and then again the success stories in which a person can come out of it, and there's no dead end to the suffering. There must be a glimmer of hope, and surely there is every time. So anecdotal accounts do matter. Then comes the scientific background, like the etiology and prognosis of the disease, which really gives details to, to the keen mind. The robust infographics. You know, these are things which bolster the content and make an account more creditable. And a person once gets to see visuals, wants to see infographics, he gets to feel the gravity of the situation and also looks out for a panacea. And of course, the first thing for an article or a program is the catchy and snappy title, which is the first riveting thing, followed by a catchy lead. The lead too needs to be riveting enough. And then, you know, an article and a health article should preferably have some sample surveys of endemic communities. Some sample communities should be earmarked and a survey carried out happen to project the prevailing problem, the prevailing situation in a select community. Now, these are the thrust areas in content creation. Whoever is making the program has to bear these things in mind. What are the ways to create an effective message? After all, it needs to create an impact upon the community. It is not just for the heck of creating content, but for rousing up the people. So, what are the ways to create an effective message or account? Then there are several neglected health areas that need to be redeemed. For instance, hormonal imbalance. Well, things are talked about in a specific way, but we need to take different facets into account, which do not often happen. Now, let me move on to the next point. That's upcoming holistic, integrated approach to treating, like translational research or alternative medicine. That is there are many upcoming approach to tackle medical problems. So these things, unless people are apprised of, unless people get to know a different approach can also be equally good or even surpass the existing approaches, the medical approaches, people won't be convinced to take up. So there has to be a media voice. Media has to give fillip to such upcoming approaches. Then, raising caveat over wonder drugs or treatment that claim to be a all solution, a panacea to everything. You know, scientific validation needs to instill the efficacy of a drug. There may be a drug which works out well, but it might have a flip side to it. So there needs to be scientific validation. You know, the discoverer of a drug or a medicine might be upbeat. He might feel that, well, he might be gung-ho that, well, my medicine, my treatment is wonderful. But then it might backfire on the society or maybe in different communities. So there has to be scientific validation. Now, preventive healthcare. Preventive healthcare is always better than going for a healthcare. If it can be prevented beforehand, prevention is better than you know. So preventive healthcare has to be much talked about in multifarious ways, which does not happen. Then comes verification of expert inputs, research findings, and data. Now, many people can claim things, many people have their own parochial outlook, which needs to be verified by, by an array of experts and not merely rivals. So then there has to be an expert, a neutral verification. So these are things which is not much done in Indian context and even in many other countries. But of course, these need to be done in a well-versed manner to come up with content which would really be fitting to the cause of community. Conducting sample surveys and data analytics, which I told you, would go a long way in addressing specific grievances, specific deficits of communities. So a feature or a documentary should explicate, explain things, exemplify, vivify things with pictures and graphs, analyze the scenario, the present scenario, the past scenario, the upcoming scenario, everything juxtaposed with the societal relevance. Now, there are situations when an article becomes a damper and people don't want it. And these causes is very much prevalent in the media houses. The content is plagued with these problems. So we must take note of these situations so that we can get rid of unwanted elements which makes the content a damp squib. A factual disconnect or distortion in graphic or illustration. What happens is an article is there, but the graphics are not very connected. I mean, it may be very aesthetic, but they're not connected. It's not pertinent. So there is a factual disconnect, and the reader does not get a real feel of it. Disconnected visuals in TV dilute the impact. The relevant visuals is often a child. What happens is, in the case of TV, electronic media, getting connected a pertinent footage is often very difficult. So what is transplanted, what is replaced is, the replacement is not worth it. So this disconnected visual is, a complete distortion. Next comes circumlocution or trivial talk of an anchor. Sometimes, many a times, an anchor feels that he or she is talking very pertinent or trying to be a bit rather witty with his audience, but trivial talk dilutes the thing. Mawkish expressionism or overt reactions, over sensationalism, over sentimental reactions, and euphemistic remarks bring down the gravity of the situation. People looks a person, the audience would look away. Research or study results should be relevant to the community. It often happens we are citing a situation, but the research that we cite is not conducted for the community. So it is not pertinent. So the research that we cite for an article should be connected. then research or study results should not be parochial, based on certain parameter disregarding other worthwhile scenario. For instance, recently there was a lot of furor over phytic acids causing inhibiting absorption of minerals, and so cereals should not be consumed in a big quantity. But it was done on a parochial way. Phytic acid might inhibit mineral absorption, but at the same time has many good effects. So a lot of parameters have to be considered. So there has to be a well-concerted research taking into account several parameters. Well, I'll not go into these. So I hope I have been able to bring out what a feature or an article should be like, and how the content can
Yes, Mr. Banerjee.
So I've tried to bring out what a content, what a prudent content in a media should be like, so as to espouse for the grievances of the community.
So, Mr. Banerjee?
Yes.
Yes, when you were talking about communities and you were talking about how to create content, the kind of articles when we are writing for newspaper, or the kind of programs we should broadcast on TV. And it seems that during this biggest health disaster of mankind, of our age, it has led to the biggest economic disaster as well. So none of the country is untouched by this pandemic, this economic loss we are facing. So when as an audience, not as an academician, as an audience, when I watch on TV the plights of migrants, and then how people are not getting treatments even for normal disease, rather means COVID we are talking about. But what about the ordinary people, those who are having routine health issues that we were facing? So somewhere during this period, when I talked to many of my acquaintances, those who are running their community media, community radio stations, community media was nowhere to support or to voice the voice of those people, those who were unable to articulate whatever they wanted to. So my question is from Dr. Dhar. Um, how can, in this situation in particular, how can community media can play an important role when we are looking for authentic information, when there are so many organizations claiming that yes, we are through with the we have created, we have invented, we have this vaccine or say cure for corona. So during this situation, what role community media can play?
Thank you, Kiran. I hope I am audible.
Yes, of course, sir. Very much.
You see, community media cannot intervene at the regulatory level. because
Yes.
it does not have the mandate.
Yes.
Its mandate is restricted to generating discourse at the community level, sharing of news and information of the community, and also passing on information which could be relevant and beneficial to the community, which is available maybe in the public domain or which has been generated by the government or various agencies of the government. But then for many reasons, that information has not percolated down, has not trickled down to the community media, to the community. So it is therein that the community media becomes relevant. In other ways also, yes, community media could also play a role, particularly in the present COVID-19 times. The role it could play possibly is that it could highlight the issues, what are the cases and what are the problems people are facing, whether there is a disconnect or a connect between the government and its agencies and the community in resolving the problems of the people. So that is where, and we have been in our community radio, we have been organizing and we have been broadcasting programs on issues which could be helpful to the community to rejuvenate or to reinforce, rather, to reinforce their immunity levels. And that is why health issues have become very dominant, have become very prioritized in the present times. So the focus has been on health issues, and recently we've also tied up with UNICEF, and we are going to have programs on health issues in collaboration with UNICEF as well.
Thank you, Dr. Dhar. Mr. Rao, Mr. Banerjee, what's your take on this situation? Because we were expecting at this time, at this point of time, we required intervention of community media more rather than normal times. We are not living in normal time. So during this time, I think community media could have played a major role, and they could have more rights, because mandate by government is like that. They can't intervene. They can't broadcast or narrowcast or publish such information which is beyond government's information. So how communities will come to know about the authentic information and the reality, whatever is happening around?
Yeah. So, Mr. Atandip, would you like to say, or should I speak?
If you want to, please carry on.
Yeah. As far as the role of media is concerned, it's not just the community media. I think the national media is also not playing the role which it should have played during the pandemic in the last 3 months.
Yes.
The kind of the situation that is there on the ground, it's very much visible to all of us. When it was not there in the national media, it was not the priority of national media for certain reasons, which should not have been there. It should have been the most important priority of national media or state media at this point of time. Talking about the lack of health services, talking about the poor health infrastructure, talking about the lack of financial resources for the health system in the country. But that kind of debate and discussion is not happening in the national media. Now, coming to the kind of information that is getting percolated down to the communities, you rightly said, it's very difficult to ensure that the correct information reaches out to communities. In several parts of the country, in several villages of UP and Bihar, coronavirus has already become a part of the folklore as Corona Mai. So people have already started, there are women who are keeping fast. There is, they are worshipping Corona Mai. It has become idolized. So that's how it has been turned into a folklore in the country. So that makes it, very important for community media channels or mass media channels to ensure that correct information and the timeliness of information. You have to provide them information at the right time. When 3 months or 4 months have already passed, they've already got filtered out information from various sources. And now if you're reaching out to them, it won't be as effective as it should have been. So what kind of media needs, what kind of information needs to be disseminated through community media channels, like maybe through community radio or other networks? It needs to be planned properly. there should be a dissemination plan for this, and what kind of programs you will be doing, at what, how many programs would be there, how your field reporters would be reaching out to community and recording their, views, what they are doing, what the Sarpanch is doing in a village to ensure that his or her village is protected from COVID-19. So those kind of interactive programs with the community. But I would like to emphasize here that all this requires a lot of planning and time. And the way COVID-19 has, spread in the country, it has taken everyone aback. It has come at, it has increased at a very surprising speed. So even the state media or national media was not prepared. So community media, I won't say that they have not played an important role. I would say that they don't have those kind of human resource or financial resource or technical capabilities to react or to come out with any information suddenly on such a big pandemic. Ideally, there should have been a coordination what national media is showing and the information that the government is giving you, and that information should have been reached to various community media channels, and that's where they should have been disseminated to the community. But unfortunately, that has not happened. So that's my take on this particular issue. Over to you, Mr. Ratandeep. Yeah.
Well, we should take a larger perspective of the fallout, rather, not just the ongoing situation. In an exigency, everyone becomes frantic and everything goes haywire. So planning at that point of exigency does not always work out. And the scope of media becomes stinted. What should have happened rather was the media over the past couple of years should have been able to make people realize some of the wayward development that was going on. Coming to this corona, the coronavirus has been known to us since 1960s. There have been an onslaught of 6 strains of coronaviruses. This is the 7th strain, perhaps. Of course, this has been much virulent, and we are not able to take stock of its contagion. But then, many of the things we could have contained had we planned much beforehand that, well, we are going in a wayward fashion. And what Mr. Rao was saying that, well, even in the times of corona, in the times of epidemic, there needs to be certain awareness creation, which is not so much happening. Well, that is true. That is what I have been saying, the parochial projection. Certain facets of certain ways in which we can stave off corona is not being well spoken of. And of course, there has been conflicting views from experts too. This is a very baffling situation, no doubt. And there has to be some baffling reports in the media too. So the media cannot be blamed on that account. But a more well-concerted reporting or a more concerted efforts needs to be there in the creation of content. Over to Dr. Bala.
So, because now we don't have any time left for question and answers, so I would like to sum up the entire discussion in a few words. So this is proposed that community media, it can accept numerous structures and takes various implications, depends upon the felt need of the community. And access and openings accessible to nearby populations or communities at a specific time. And in view of this, through this International Conference for Social Change, and particularly through this panel discussion on community media interventions towards social and health issues, it expects to uncover the worth and significance of community media in the era of online digital communities. So in doing as such, we look forward to advance more noteworthy cognizance of and gratefulness for community and media's noteworthiness in the social, monetary, political, and social existence of individuals around the globe. Because when we talk about community, we talk about individuals also. So, and in community is made up of individuals. So, what individuals want to say, what they want to articulate, that's very important. And with these words, I thank all our panelists, our eminent academicians and researchers. I thank them for their wonderful ideas, their work they have done for the community, and they have shared with our audience through these valuable discussions. Thanks a lot.
Professor Kiran Bala, may I request you that if there are some questions from the participants in the session, if you can take up.
Yeah, I was just looking at the chat box. So
Manmeet can help if there are some
Yes,
one or
Manmeet.
two pertinent questions if you find.
No, sir, I am also looking at the chat box, but still there is no question from any participants.
Then it's fine. I thought that if there
yeah,
are
no.
questions.
So that's why we just one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Thank you.
If any participant has any question, kindly please leave the question in the chat box.
Okay, it's fine. We can wind up with them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank you very much to our esteemed panelists for the panel discussion number 3. Thank you all the esteemed panelists for carrying out the discussion on the most important subject, that is the community and media. Dhar sir, I have actually listened many high words from senior professors and academicians from the media fraternity, and it is indeed to have you here at DME for the international conference. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Yadav, your presentation highlighting the case studies of friendly reporters and the media collective rights for the children and women, and it actually showcased the important initiatives being taken up by the community media for the community. Thank you so much, sir, to have you here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Mr. Banerjee has indeed pointed out the importance of content creation so as to address the concerns and grievances of the community. Thank you so much, sir, to be at the panel discussion. Sincere thanks to Professor Dr. Kiran Bala ma'am for taking out the discussion on the relevant subject and highlighting the importance of taking out these kind of academic deliberations on various platforms and forums. Thank you so much, ma'am.
It's my privilege, Manmeet. In fact, I would like to thank Professor Saxena, who has given us this opportunity to collaborate and partner with this conference. Thank you so much, Mr. Saxena.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. We are proceeding towards the 9th technical session of ICANN 3. Before that, I would like to share an important information that ICANN 3 we have social media platforms at Facebook, ICANN 3 page, LinkedIn, where more than 400 academicians, VCs, and professors are connecting through each other to carry out various research dialogues and deliberations. We have our YouTube channel, DME TV, where all the playlist of ICANN 3 and other relevant data related to DME Media School has been uploaded. You can watch the content, you can like our social media pages, and the hashtag for our conference is #conference4change. Thank you so much to be at the session. I now request my fellow colleague, Ms. Krishna Pandey ma'am, to kindly take over the session for the 9th technical session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.